What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction, back with some more Sting, as well as a very sleepy Luca, and we're jumping back to the Fields of Gold Greatest Hits compilation. Thank you, as always, to Michaela and to Stefan, who's provided the Dream of the Blue Turtles album. And as I said, we've been kind of going back and forth between those two, so we'll just keep doing that. And the next one on the Greatest Hits compilation is Englishman in New York. I'm assuming the Englishman in New York here is Sting himself. Even if it's not directly autobiographical, surely the concept and the framing is something that applies to Sting, who no doubt, either through recording or performance, or just maybe through his own cultural and geographical interest, would likely have found himself in New York. So yes, I do wonder if this is something very directly from Sting's life and experience, or if this is sort of a hypothetical, a character, but one which, of course, he might have some direct inspiration from or to. Nevertheless, let's listen and I'll see what I can pick up on a first hearing. This is Sting, the track is Englishman in New York, and it's included on his Greatest Hits compilation entitled Fields of Gold.
My dear, I like my toast on one side, but you can hear it in my accent when I talk. I'm an Englishman in New York. You see me walking down Fifth Avenue, a walking cane here at my side. I take it everywhere I say he's our hero of the day. It takes a man to suffer ignorance and smile. Be yourself, no matter what they say. Whoa, I'm an alien, I'm a legal alien, I'm an Englishman in New York. Whoa, I'm an alien, I'm a legal alien, I'm an Englishman in New York. Modesty, propriety, the leads and notoriety. You put in love as the only one. Gentleness, sobriety, and in society. Many candles brighter than the sun. More than combat gear to make a man. It takes more than a license for a gun. Confront your enemies, avoid them when you can. A gentleman will walk but never run. The manners make of manners, someone say. He's our hero of the day. It takes a man to suffer ignorance and smile. Be yourself, no matter what they say. Be yourself, no matter what they say. Be yourself, no matter what they say. Be yourself, I'm an alien, I'm a legal alien, I'm an Englishman, no matter what they say. Be yourself, I'm an alien, I'm a legal alien, I'm an Englishman in New York.
the whole song, I was trying to figure out what that instrument was. It was like, okay, at first I'm like, oh, is that a saxophone? Wait, no, maybe it's a trumpet. No, maybe it's a clarinet. Maybe it's like a, proper woodwind rather than a brass instrument. And by the end, I'm now switching back to, I think it was a saxophone, but whatever that lead instrument was, it was fantastic. And it's funny because, like, I think there's a lot happening here sonically. The main configuration of the song, I'd describe it as like jazz style reggae rhythm with a bit of like transatlantic refinement, and maybe there's something to that conceptually. But then, of course, there's a section where it goes into full kind of like swing jazz for a moment, and then after that, we get a section that's almost like 90s hip hop, like New York City type hip hop, just for a short little measure, and then it goes back again into that kind of jazzy reggae vibe. So, again, with the swing jazz part and that quasi hip hop section, which is very like percussion based, that feels like a tip of the cap to New York. It's like, these are the sounds of New York, both in the past and right up into the present. And then, of course, like that reggae, like pop reggae styling, that's something that goes back to Sting's Police days, so that wasn't surprising to hear. But then, again, there was like, at one point, a harpsichord, which it felt very, again, European, and, UK, at least probably at the time he wrote this, was still part of the European Union. So, yeah, that felt a bit transatlantic. And then, of course, there's some like jazzy piano and that lead instrument giving it a very soulful New York City flavor. So I really felt like both sides of this. I could feel that like he, and by extension some of the Sonics, were from across the pond, but then some of the details are like, Sonic details. He's very much in New York, and I love starting it with like, no, I don't take coffee, I'll have tea, which, again, that could not be more British. And then, again, the idea that, it does seem like he's drawing a line between, like, what people expect of someone who happens to be in New York, that, like, oh, you have to behave this way, and if not, you're weird, you're a foreigner, you're an alien. And he's saying, well, look, gentlemen walk, they never run, and, people can say things about me, but it takes a real gentleman to not respond to it, to not lash out, and so on. And you know what? I walk around with a walking cane, and I suddenly had an image of this thing as like, almost like the Monopoly guy with a like British bowler hat, a monocle, a stopwatch, or not stopwatch, a pocket watch, and a cane, striding around, like being very proud of his English heritage, even if it makes people give him, sort of questionable or suspect looks and so on. But it does seem on some level, like it seemed to get more serious suddenly at the end. It's like, oh, like, it takes more than combat gear to make a man, and it takes more than a license to make a gun. And so then it's like, oh, like, is this kind of cultural commentary where he's saying, like, here, everyone's quick to, like, talk about, the weapons they have, or, American imperialism, or we're tough in America, we win wars, and so on. And he's kind of like, well, the British have been here, done that, and we've gone through the colonial imperial phase, and we've kind of come out the other side a little bit, and maybe we have a bit more to say and know about that than some of you would care to hear or are aware of. So it suddenly seemed like the contrast wasn't just that, like, oh, I like British interests and I'm a very much a British man at heart. It's like he's suddenly saying, like, there are differences in the way we see the world. So even though I'm here in New York and I'm ensconced in this, mega city and all of its cultural trappings going back again to, like, the early 19th century and before that, I'm retaining my identity, and I, as an alien, which, referring to himself as an alien, he's going to give them a bit in the other direction, that like, hey, well, you say this, or you act tough in this way. Well, to me, that doesn't make you a man. It's like your manners that make a man, not, whether you have a gun in your pocket or whatever. So, yeah, it seemed to start a bit light and, with some visual and, like, cultural references. And by the end, it seemed like he was making a bit more of a serious, like, socio-cultural point and contrast. So, yeah, definitely a cool one, and one I'm going to listen to again and, ponder. But please do let me know what you have to say about it. And as I said, I enjoyed the Sonics and all their variety. Definitely some jazz flavors, plural. definitely a bit of a reggae rhythm, but then again, like regular piano keyboard, what I think was like harpsichord, or at least like, electronic keyboard with a harpsichord kit, and then that instrument, which again, saxophone, trumpet, clarinet, I'm not sure. Definitely though, I noticed the contrabass or the stand-up bass in the really jazzy section. So again, as someone who likes throwback jazz and who did a reaction to a like 30s jazz record earlier in this batch, of course that's going to catch my ear. In any case, let me know what you think, and I will see you next time. Peace.